and teaching you how to use it. So I know that Grant had a couple things that he wanted to talk about. Is that true, Grant, or am I a liar?
I don't know. I'm going to keep my secrets. No. So one of the topics I wanted to talk today about was multiple offers in today's market. So one of the things I've noticed on like one of my last listings, we ended up getting 4 offers the first week after the first weekend in the first 4 days, all of them below list price.
So, but multiple offers are still coming in.
So they're investor offers. So we ended up getting 3 cash investor offers and a FHA one below list price and needing $12,500 in seller paid closing costs just to qualify at a below list price purchase price. So that being said, if you're working with buyers and especially communities where there are cash offers involved in, from the buyer's perspective, the buyer agent perspective, you don't need to go $20,000-$30,000 over. Like just because it's multiple offers doesn't mean we have to go over list price. And that's kind of what I want to put in your mind is as an agent, as a listing agent, I'm going to go back out there and say, hey, we're in a multiple offer situation. Sellers are calling for highest and best Sunday at noon. And there's going to be inexperienced agents who are like, oh my gosh, you got to go $15,000 over because that's what the trend was 6 months ago, or $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 over. And my point is that even if they're receiving multiple offers, there's cash investors that are making these offers sight unseen. And this happened on the listing is they went and did their inspections. They emailed us back the day after the inspections and said, hey, we're just not interested. Thanks. Here's this termination. Can you please sign it and send it back?
So that is basically the core of that is shift tactic number 11, master the market of the moment. We always need to be aware of what's going on in the market and aware of the best tactics to put in winning offers. Even I love that you said, even if you can't just go way over selling price, there are other tactics that you can use in your offers. Has anyone else seen anything like that? Any of their listings coming in with multiple offers that are not asking price? And are there any other tactics that you've seen other buyers use to make up that?
So just one more comment is especially the neighborhoods that like they're mid 2000s, the neighborhoods where the cash buyers are making offers. Just know if your buyer is making an offer on a house, there's a good chance that the other offers are way, way, way below list price. I mean, the offers that came in, we're talking $40,000 or below list price of the cash offers. So that being, I'm telling a buyer, if their offer was 10 grand below, they would still be the highest and best. So that's a good perspective on the listing side too. If you have sellers, is call for highest and best, and don't be mad if they're not above list price. Let them know.
I think that also goes to like setting expectations with your sellers too. If we have this kind of information, which I hate that I don't have my notebook out right now, but when we have this kind of information, that's an immediate conversation we're having with our sellers. Like, hey, if we ask for highest and best, there's a chance that the conversation could go like, or there's a chance that the offers could come in looking like this or this or this. We're not necessarily going to get $30,000 over asking. I know that that may have been happening 6 months ago, and yet the market right now is not dictating that we get 30,000-40,000. This is what they could look like.
You might not even get asking price.
Yeah, suddenly you're the market expert. Like you've set those expectations for them, and if they're not able to come to terms with those expectations, they're going to learn very quickly why you are the master of the market right now.
And then also to remind them to not take it personally, not to be offended by an offer, because that oftentimes happens with sellers. They'll list at 350 and get an offer for like 320, and they're like, that's offensive. Hey, that's an offer. And if you were on the buy side, wouldn't you love to buy a $350,000 house for 320? Why not make the offer if you're the only one out there? So remind them to not take it personally and become emotional about it. they're still needing to sell their house and really run the numbers with them to saying, all right, here's what your net proceeds would be if you accepted this offer. Does that fit your budget? Or how far off is it? Are we $5,000 off? Are we $10,000 off? It's not hard to close a $5,000 or $10,000 gap. If you're $30,000 off, then yeah, we're not even really playing catch at that point. And then, yeah, one other last thing Nishette had mentioned earlier today, Nikki asked about a response. So when you're working with sellers and you're presenting the offers, maybe you want to go back to more of that formal, there's a offer to buyer's response from seller, and it's an end card document, and it's saying, hey, thank you for the offer. We're rejecting your offer. If you want to resubmit an offer, these are the terms we would consider. So don't be afraid to use that. I know I had a couple of them that came in. My buyers were like, don't even respond. One was over $100,000 below list price.
All right, so let's open it up. What are y'all seeing? We've got, looks like about 10 agents on right now. So what are y'all seeing in the market? What are y'all struggling with? Anything that we can really, we got a lot of minds in this room today. So let's work out some issues that we're having, whether it's around lead gen, whether it is around the conversations we're having to have, or just like what good do y'all have going on? Opening it up to y'all.
This is Nishette, Nikki. I am struggling to get the house, to get eyes on it. Like okay. I got an offer, but it's a lowball offer, and it was sight unseen because there were no showings requested. So that's the struggle. But I think, what I am going to do today is I'm going to do the Facebook ad. Can I do that with this listing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to go in command. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I still need someone to do the open house Saturday and Sunday.
So is anybody having a lot of success getting a lot of eyes on a listing that they have right now, or a listing that they've had in the last 20, 30 days?
So one other suggestion is you can put it in, list it in Facebook Marketplace.
I did that. I'm going to go update it, but Facebook Marketplace is doing some changes where they're not going to allow that soon. I think I saw that.
So I don't know about that. I was able to do my last one, and then you can share it to like the buy sell trade groups you join. So if it's in Raleigh, look for like Raleigh Homes, Raleigh buy sell trade groups, Raleigh real estate. There's all these different groups that open houses, things like that. There's all these massive groups, Wake County, there's Garner, Clayton, Triangle area, RTP ones. Join all of those groups and then just start sharing it in there. It's a free way just to get potential. You're really just fishing for leads too, but then exposure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm also going to drop a link in the chat. We're going to see if that link works. So that is a link that, holy cow, I really hope that works. So Nikki, if you are in the Pivot Shift Facebook group on Facebook, if you're not, you have to be a part of it.
I am. I'm part of it.
On the 18th. So if you can go back, the link should take you there, but the recording from the 18th, that is exactly what they talked about. It's funny, I'll read you out. He sent, I don't know how I joined the email group or the email list that he sends out, but he sent an email on the 18th, and it says, there's no doubt that things are slowing down a bit with rising interest rates and the traditional seasonal slowdown. One area I've seen agents notice this is with open houses. We've gone from lines out the door and police directing traffic to looking out the window, wondering if anyone's coming, like I did for my birthday party in 2nd grade. So it was a really funny email, but that entire call, that's what they went over, was, the lack of eyes coming to our listings, the lack of exposure that these listings are getting right now. Yeah. So I would definitely suggest going back and watching that.
The 18th of October?
October 18th, yes. So just Monday. Is that Monday or Tuesday? Yeah, go back and check that out. Yeah, it's a really good call. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you'll get a lot from it. Make sure you have your notebook out.
Yeah, I do. I'm on that every morning.
Good, good. Have you ever created a landing page for a listing that you have?
No, I haven't. Can we do that on command?
You can do that on command.
Okay.
So what that does is it essentially creates your own a standalone URL for that listing. So it creates its own website for that listing. You can go in, let me see if I can pull one up and maybe I'll share it.
Okay.
Because I used to make these all the time.
Great.
The consumer landing pages. Yep, so it's on command and it looks like this. You are creating a URL for the listing.
Awesome. Okay.
And you do this through command. So what I would do is go and search, and you can probably even go on YouTube and search KW command landing page, and they'll show you how to do it. Or you can email support@scottleroymarketing.com and they'll show you how to do it as well. But it pulls information from the MLS. It gives all of this. You kind of have to build it out. But what I have had agents do is create this landing page. And then if you're on Google Chrome and you right click, you can create a QR code for it. And so now you have both a website for your specific listing and a QR code that you can be posting that around. You can be putting that on flyers that you send out. It's a QR code specific to the listing. And if you were to create an open house, you can create a QR code for that too and start sharing it around.
Thank you. I will do that now. Thank you.
The other suggestion is you could check out, if you partner with Ryan on Total Expert, there's a lot of different marketing kits on there to expose your listing, or you can order postcards, things of that nature if you want to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And list
I do have a
reports
que- I
is
have
the
a-
other one that I've got. List reports is another one, Nishat, that you can, if you're not already on there, you can ask me to do that for you, and it prepares a marketing kit for you as well.
That's the one that I've been using. I use that for open houses and everything. So I kind of need some more, but I'm going to do this now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
The other comment I'm gonna have on open houses, I probably saw about 4 people advertising open houses yesterday evening. If you're telling your sellers you're doing open houses Saturday and Sunday, you can't wait till Thursday evening to try and find agents to do the open house. If I'm an agent going to do an open house, you're not giving me time to prep anything. It's not syndicating out to Zillow. It's not syndicating out to realtor.com or the MLS. It's not advertising open house Saturday 10 to 2 or noon to 2 or noon to 3. So you got to make those decisions early in the week, Monday and Tuesday. And then the other thing is, if you're not going to do open houses and you're going to tell your sellers you're doing open houses, you need to partner with agents specifically and saying, hey, Nikki, or hey, Kelly, I have open houses available almost every weekend. Are you interested in doing the open houses? Rather than posting it on the Facebook page and waiting for leadership to tag at everyone and nobody responds. And you're like, well, who's going to do my open house on Saturday and Sunday? Well, I guess you are, if you told your sellers you're going to do open houses.
Yeah,
That's my one
I
minute
agree.
soapbox.
I agree. I did post it last week though, and I had someone that said they could do it.
Okay.
They now they can't. And I text again this morning and they're still waiting on a response. So now I'm kind of.
Okay. And that happens. That's the one exception I would give is like, yeah, something comes up. My daughter all of a sudden has this, my son has that. My husband or wife has asked me to do this. I get that. There's stuff that does come up. But yeah, there was like 4 of them yesterday, like late in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock, that got posted. Like, I need to host for open house.
Yeah, I think when Brian says it, it's schedule it early so that people have time to schedule their weekends, to
Exactly.
plan their weekends.
Yep.
Like if
Well,
you
then
put it
one
on
of them was,
Friday,
like,
there's a chance
Saturday,
they've already planned stuff.
And one of them was for Saturday, and it's like, that's our picnic.
Oh yeah.
So now you are competing against our company picnic. So if I'm going to the company picnic, I'm not going to go host an open house. So just be aware of those types of things.
Unless the barbecue is going to be better at your open house.
Or the food truck.
What else we got going on, y'all? We got a lot of really, really smart brains on this call this morning. What do we got going on? Let's mastermind around some stuff.
The other one I'll share is Facebook leads work. If you call the leads that come in, you'll probably get 6 out of 10 that are correct phone numbers. Of those 6, 4 or 5 will answer. And of those 4 or 5, 2 of them will tell you they're interested in buying or selling a home. They're cheap. They're about $1 a piece. So if you're looking at your database or your phone and saying, hey, I don't know who to call, start running Facebook ads. That's one of the questions I asked the Dream Homes yesterday is, can we run ads on their new construction homes? They're paying $4,000 with what? Or 4% with like a $3,000 bonus to agents? That's like 2 transactions in one.
So how are people getting listings right now? Nichette, how'd you get that listing?
Hold on. Sorry. Mine was a referral.
Okay.
It was from my sphere.
Nice.
Can
I
you hear
found
me?
this on the web.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
My,
Yeah.
my sphere.
What does your lead gen and lead follow-up look like to your sphere?
Just basically, well, to my sphere, I will call them, we text. I don't do a lot of emailing to my sphere. It's more texting and contacting. So this was like a really, really close friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edie?
Quick question, when we are doing Facebook ads, I know that when I have a listing, it's sitting longer than we want, spoke with the sellers about doing a price reduction. We decided to do a small price reduction and offer $9,000 in seller closing costs for the buyer. So when we put that in the MLS, the closing cost offer has to go into the agent remarks, not in public remarks. So when I am putting together a Facebook ad or putting together a Facebook post, I'm believing that I can't make that available to public there either. Am I correct?
I called the real estate commission this week and asked that specific question.
Yeah.
You can say up to $9,000 seller paid closing costs with acceptable offer.
In public.
Yes. Yep.
Sweet. Thank you.
I called specifically. I called about 3 things and that was one of them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. So you can now. The real estate commission suggested that we go to our attorney and draft an addendum because a buyer might perceive that, or a weak agent might perceive that, hey, if they don't need that $9,000, that means the seller's going to write them a check, which cannot happen. And I'm sure Ryan would be like, yeah, that's a big no. That's a big fine or jail time. You cannot write a check outside of closing to that client. So if they end up only using $5,000, say they're using down payment assistance and get $8,000, and they don't need the whole $9,000 that you're offering, and they only use 5, they lose the other 3.
Okay.
So they were suggesting that just a CYA, we reach out to our attorneys and ask them to draft something. I haven't gotten in touch with Josh yet about that, but that would be something that we might want as a CYA. But you can publicly say, seller is offering $9,000 in seller concession to help buy down your rate with acceptable offer.
And if we ask them to draft that, how much does something like that cost?
So I think he would do it free for the office because we do so much business with him. And what it would be is just something like buyer name blank, seller name blank, are agreeing to blank dollars of seller paid concessions. If that money is not used, that money stays to the seller.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the conversation.
No problem.
Ashley, I see you have your hand raised.
So I have a question about that. So you're saying that there's $9,000 paid towards closing and they're only using $8,000 of it. Why can't that just come off the top? Like, let's say the house was listed for 500,000.
Sure.
Instead of them losing that 1,000, why couldn't it just the sales price go down to $499?
So the seller paid closing costs are like lender closing costs. They can only be used towards closing cost. So a good lender is
Okay.
going to say things like, all right, well, I'll just use this to buy down points or prepay PMI. But that might not work in every situation. There's going to be circumstances where, like, in the past, I've had this, where the buyer's doing like 100% financing. We're getting like down payment from the lender or the buyer or the seller, and then we ask for repair negotiations and we get money in lieu of. Well, all of a sudden we have too much money. We have like $1,000 left over. So a good lender is going to know, all right, I can buy down the points or prepay interest, or hey, maybe suggest buying a home warranty. But there's going to be other agents who aren't like, I would say, elite or trained, and they're going to think, oh, well, you'll just get a check for the difference.
Okay,
Hey, if
so
I could
if that were to happen, then I would need to tell my buyers, we need to use this money towards something else or you're going to lose it.
You could buy something the week of, yeah, like a home warranty or something. Brian's going to add something here too.
Ashley,
okay.
I'll just kind of tag onto that. I'll tell you what typically happens. Let's say you went in one of these arrangements and you asked the seller to pay X in closing costs, 5,000, 6,000, whatever the number. And then you're negotiating repairs, you're midstream into the process. Let's say you got a 30-day close and your due diligence period's 3 weeks. And all of a sudden you find something, seller doesn't want to deal with it. And you're like, hey, just give us $3,000 in closing costs instead of doing that repair, and we'll call it good. So if you only have $6,000 in actual closing costs, but now you've got $8,000 in credits, you're over by 2. And what tends to happen is all that stuff shakes out in the 11th hour. So yeah, the normal thing is to just reduce the price of the house by $2,000 and it's all good. But if the closing disclosure's already gone out and you're already within, 72 hours of closing, then that risk putting off the closing and screwing up a lot of stuff. So that's what happens 9 times out of 10 in practicality, but your thought process is correct.
So you're saying most of the time the buyer loses out on that money and the seller keeps the credit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, what we end up doing is trying to run up the tab on closing costs, right? It's like, okay, can we buy down the rate further? Can we get a survey when we weren't planning to do one? Can we pay for Cadillac, home warranty? So you just end up trying to tack on costs to soak up all that money, and you can't always soak it all up. So there's, a few $100 left on the table. That's what happens most of the time. And it just kind of is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
you.
y'all. Thank y'all. So
I guess
everybody,
now
go ahead.
that I'm thinking about it, I'm sorry, now I'm thinking about, so I was working on an offer last night and we were going to offer closing costs and a little bit under asking. And so, but I didn't even really know how much to ask for in closing costs that would be like realistic. So I just threw $3,000 out there. How do you come up with that number?
Ask the lender.
Ask the lender, but I mean, you're always going to have like $5,000 in closing costs unless the lender's given some giant lender credit at a higher rate or something. So,
well, then, unfortunately, they're going with state employees, and that lender, their state employees won't talk to me.
So the
tell them to go
is,
with me.
And then the other thing would be, so if like the $12,000, for example, like Edie's offering $9,000, that's intentionally used to buy down the rate. So basically the buyer would go to their lender and say, hey, we're buying this house at $375. We're getting $9,000 in closing costs. We want to buy down the rate with that $9,000. What would our payment look like? And they'd say, all right, instead of your payment being $2,400 a month, it'd be $2,150.
Okay. So I probably should change that 3,000 to 5 All-Star.
Right now with the market, you can, but back in the day when the interest rates were like 2.5%, nobody was buying down rates. Anytime they were below 4%, nobody bought
That's what
down
I'm
rates.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to.
So the big thing would be just
Really.
ask the lender,
So,
hey, if we want to buy down the payment rate or things like
Okay.
that, or like, for example, I had an offer, they asked for $12,500 in closing costs because they needed to buy down the rate. That's the only monthly payment they could afford at 7.25% interest rate. Or I guess it was FHA, so it would have been a little lower,
Okay.
but with the PMI, things
I
like that.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay, cool.
This is where working with a mortgage broker is going to be better than working with a bank.
I take offense to that.
Well, you're a mortgage broker.
No,
Oh, I'm
I work for a bank.
thinking of like, so when you go to Wells Fargo and you go to State Employee Credit Union, you can't, first of all, you can't reach any of them on a Saturday, and they're not going to run numbers for you on an individual one. So I'm not talking about Ryan specifically. I'm talking about like BB&T, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, State Employees Credit Union. Those
It is
different ones are going to
very
be hard.
frustrating.
Yeah.
It is.
They're
It's
not
so
gonna see
frustrating, but the problem is that state employees is offering these my clients. I mean, Ryan has talked to them in the past. They're offering them 100% financing, and I guess they were able to get something that Ryan wasn't. I don't know. It was
State Employee
Amber.
Credit Union
or-
has a great program. They have good loans for certain specific buyers.
But
For
it's
100%
just very
conventional
frustrating.
loans, they're great. And their arms, I think they're changing their
Yep.
loan packaging now.
That's what they're doing. They're doing an arm.
Yeah.
And I've been working with these people since like last summer off and on. They're just now starting to look again. And I begged, can't we work with Ryan? Please, let's just work with Ryan. But they're staying with state
You could always
employees.
find a good State Employee Credit Union mortgage lender to have in your back pocket. Find one that's good. But again, 4
Yeah, that's
o'clock,
a
they're
good-
done working. They're not
Yeah.
working after 4 o'clock. That's the hard part.
Nope.
Yeah, like actually
Yeah.
the situation with them is they need Chrissy's income, but like her credit score is 599. I can't do anything with that. So they are right to go back to state employees. I think that is the best move for them if state employees will use her credit.
They won't say, so apparently State Employee Credit Union doesn't use credit scores. They just based it on debt to income and your down payment. That's what your interest rate is.
Ashley, you're breaking up on us, I think.
Oh.
That's interesting information, though. I did not know that state employees doesn't use credit score.
Well, they
don't
do.
actually
They just
report like credit.
They do. They just look at an Equifax credit score,
Oh.
but they tend to be sort of like, think of them like FHA loans. They take a more socialistic approach. So the people that have an 800 credit score are not going to really benefit and get a better deal than the guy with like a 600 credit score. So for the people on the lower end of the spectrum, it tends to work out better for them. But no, I recommend people to state employees pretty frequently because, and I usually say, hey, if you've got an account, if you have the ability to do a loan with state employees, I know the people at the lower end of the spectrum, that normally with my FHA loan or anybody else's FHA loan, if they've got like a 600 credit score, they're paying a higher rate, and the mortgage insurance, and they're better off with state employees if they can get a loan through them. And these folks are in that category.
Cool. All right, well, let's maybe get a little bit uncomfortable. Does anyone have anyone want to be vulnerable about their pipeline here for the next 3 months? So let's say up until December, we got a couple holidays coming up. Does anyone have a pipeline that isn't supporting their goals? I mean, especially with Christmas coming up. I mean, I'm a horrible Christmas gift getter. But the funds are going to have to be there for Christmas this year, no matter what. Does anyone have a pipeline they want to talk about that maybe isn't on pace to hit what they need for these holidays coming up, or to get them through these winter months where the market naturally slows down? Like I said, a lot of minds on here that you talk about your pipeline here, and maybe you get that one idea that changes your life. Maybe you get that one lead gen idea or lead follow-up idea that gets you over that hump, and maybe gets you 1-2 extra transactions here over the next 60 or 90 days. So who's got a pipeline right now that we can talk about helping grow? And I will wait.
Well, I will speak since nobody else seems to be going. I have in the past gone ahead and farmed a neighborhood, actually 3 neighborhoods, and have annual things that I do with them. So this weekend, we are farming a neighborhood of 100 and doing the Great Pumpkin Carving Contest that we have done for the past 2 years. And I'll put this on. Hold on. Hey guys.
Hey, Edie.
Sorry, I had to dry my hair before I could get on here. Sorry. So this is dollar store item, and it's a little bag and like $20 worth of Snickers and candies that go into it. And then this is the card that goes out for the Great Pumpkin Carving Contest. They then have to text me the picture of the pumpkin carving that they do so that they can be entered into the contest. It's split into adults and children. So it's under 13 and above 13. And the prize is a $50 gift certificate to each winner for whatever restaurant they choose. And then on the back of the card are the market stats for homes sold over the past year in that actual zip code that goes with that. And then this also goes with doing pop buys to all of my previous clients. They actually get a pumpkin and this so that they can go ahead and get their kids and their grandchildren to go ahead and go into the pumpkin carving contest as well.
What's your what would you say your total spend on that the one event is?
$80.
$80.
Now, and that means my going out and doing the hoofing part in person.
Yeah.
Or that'll be about 4 hours. I can get that done for 100 houses.
All right, so about 4 hours, and so depending on what your dollar per hour is, I know that you and I went through that exercise the other day. Would you say that if you get a 1% return off of that, it's going to be you're going to be in the green for the ROI? You're spending $80 in total.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now this goes ahead and I'm doing blessing baskets. So this becomes a whole routine because this one is for October, but then we're doing blessing baskets that will be going out right around the same time as the contest is announced. And
Nice.
that's announced on Facebook when we actually do it. And then we announce not the contest, but the invitation for people to do blessing baskets for the neighborhood that will go to the school for families who are in need for right before Thanksgiving. And then that leads into the beginning of December that I do the farm, and we do the Santa Claus and Holiday Paws Drive for the SPCA.
So this is a very consistent thing that you have with this group, with this sphere, with this past clients, these people that you're doing this with. It is consistent. It's one of these types of touches per month.
Yes. And if
Yeah.
I'm not in person, then they are getting it via a postcard for one of my listings or something that I've sold, or some type of market stat that goes along with that.
Yeah, and I can probably guess the answer to this, but are you tracking, like, if a closing comes in from that, are you tracking something that's like, all right, this closing came from this follow-up plan that I have?
I've gotten 3 closings and 1 referral from
Wow.
doing the farming in this neighborhood. And last year, along with those, I was able to pick up 4 other folks who are asked for CMAs, and they are on drip campaign for the future. Now, I didn't get the entire neighborhood. Out of 6 closings in the neighborhood, I got 1 each year.
Yeah.
But and that was a thing that I had to get over. By
Like
talking
a mindset thing that you had to think, okay, I can get these, or it was like I took that a little bit personally?
I took it a little personally, and I had to get over that.
Is it just they have people that they're already working with no matter what?
They did. They had people they were already working with, and one of them I didn't want anyway, so it was okay. I knew that neighbor, and I didn't want to work with them.
And over time, the only thing that I would say to that is, over time, there is a good chance that whoever they are working with is not doing the kind of stuff that you're doing right there. So you may have spent, in total on that specific person $1-2. And if you're continuing to do that stuff, I think over time they're going to realize, wow, Edie is, she's pouring into me a lot more than whoever I'm working with. If I'm deciding to sell, maybe that person's getting in touch with them every 4 or 5 months, and they just have a strong connection. And over time, they're seeing your face, they're seeing you pour into them every single month. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day even just one of those converts, and they're like, all right, they've seen your signs in the neighborhood before. They've seen what you do. They get the value that you bring, and they give you a call first. So I think that's just an over time, keep at it, and you never know. Again, what would it take? 50 years for if one of those converts over, it'd be green on the ROI. So I think that's an amazing thing that you're doing too, that the some of the communities that you're impacting, some of those charities that you're giving to, I think that's a really beautiful thing. And I think they probably recognize that too, kind of the positive that you're bringing.
I will say, because I happen to be on the HOA board as well. And last year, the one gentleman that's just not happy at all ended up having to go up and talk to the HOA board about his situations at his house that he wasn't taking care of. And he went ahead and brought up, well, you have somebody on the board that goes ahead and solicits in our neighborhood, and that's not allowed either. Speaking of me. So he doesn't get anything at his house anymore. Although I did give him a 4th of July. I did give him a 4th of July flag because he is a vet. So, but at the same point in time, I went ahead and I asked a couple of folks on the board to make sure that I was within kosher area to go ahead and moving forward. And 3 of them told me, and I've had other neighbors tell me, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be doing charitable deeds. So thank you for doing what you're doing. So out there that see the no solicitation sign, if you feel like you have an option to go ahead and be there because you're coming from the heart and you would be doing it anyway, regardless of your business, do it because it's who you are and what you do.
Yeah. And I think that it'll be very obvious to people if you're showing up, and that's you're kind of putting on a front like that. If it's not something that you do truly care about, you're not going to show up at 100% either. Like the fact that you went to people and were asking, is this okay? Am I still good on this? That shows that you're passionate about this. You wanted to know because you want to do this. And that's going to come through to those people. They're going to see your passion around that. They're going to see this is something she's actually committed to, no matter what, whether it brings her business or not.
And do it every year. It's the whole thing about being there every year. I have people right now that have already reached out saying, are you doing the annual pet drive? Because I had a woman give $1,000 last year to the SPCA.
Wow.
Like there are people out there, if you're doing it from the heart and you're doing it for the charity because you would anyway, people will come out and work with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Edie. Thank you. And yeah, for everyone on this call that just heard that, you just got essentially a great idea. There are plenty of neighborhoods out there. You have a neighborhood that you could, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You've now got some great ideas that you can go out there and do. And if you were to do that in the next week and it showed up in the next 90 days, let's even just say that's one more closing you got in the next 3 months. I have a feeling that's going to impact your holidays. So I don't know if everyone on this call has decided that real estate's going to be something that that pays for things in their family, that helps them grow their big life. But when you're getting these ideas, I hope that y'all are writing this stuff down. I hope that you're taking notes, that you're being a sponge, and you're finding out ways that you can use that to impact your pipeline as well. It's not going to happen if you don't do activities like this. It is not going to happen. The next 3 months, things aren't going to fall in your lap anymore. They may have fallen in your lap the last 2-3 years. It's not going to happen anymore. You've got to make that mindset switch to go after it, to do these things and do things that you enjoy. Make that $80 that you spend something that lights a little fire in you. Make it fun for yourself, and then go ahead and set up the plan for next year. If any of y'all were in the business planning clinic, you looked at next year. You maybe even looked at the next 5 years. And something you do today may show up in 5 years from now. And I know even for me, that's almost impossible to look towards, 5 years from now. And yet, if you got one closing 5 years from now from $80 you spent this month, you're going to look back, and you're going to look back at that $80 day or that 4-hour day that you went out and did that as one of the best days in your business. So we got about 13 minutes. What do y'all want to go over? Thank you again, Edie. Who's looking to grow? Who's got objections that they're hearing that they don't know how to get over? Who wants to come into the office and do lead gen? Hear more about that? Anyone want to know more about what's going on in the lead gen days? Because there's a lot of contracts coming out of that. A lot of contracts coming out of that.
I'll just say, I'm always looking for my pipeline to grow. So, if there's anything I can do to help anyone on this call, I know if I help you, it will ultimately help me. So just know that I'm here, not just a guy sitting in this office, just hanging out. I'm here to help, because I know if I can help you, it will help me. So please ask me for anything that you think might help you grow your business.
I would like the extra marketing information, Ryan, for my listing. That would be great.
Okay.
I have the list report stuff, but the other thing that you had mentioned.
Total Expert. That's the thing you signed in and filled out for me the other day, so I could do that co-marketing piece.
Yes.
So yep, I will show you how to use that the next time I see you here in the office. It's very simple.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Terrence, I agree. Thank you for that. Everyone on this call must be really balling out if you're not having pipeline problems. I don't know what activities y'all are doing, but if y'all aren't having struggles, tell me what you're doing, because I'm making 20, 30, 40 phone calls a day. I'm doing my follow-up, and even I have pipeline problems. So tell me what y'all are doing to make these next 3 months be so great that there's no struggles whatsoever. See, people are dropping off the call now.
The uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
Well, this is Nikki. This is what I plan to work on today. Of course, the landing page, the Facebook ad, a counter offer for the offer that I did receive, and going through my database based on what Bill was saying yesterday with the tags, and kind of cleaning my database up so that I could have better contact.
All right. So my tip I'd give you is contact the people as you're cleaning it up.
Okay.
Mhm.
Contact them, make the call, and just say, hey, I just want to make sure I have all updated information. Is this still your best email address? Oh, you know what? I don't have your address. When I want to send you a holiday card this year, where should I send it to?
That's a great idea.
Start building that and then linking in their Facebook profile to it. So that way, when you follow up next quarter and you haven't talked to them, you can say, oh my gosh, it looks like you and your family had a great holiday season. And it looks like you went on vacation XYZ for, the first week of January.
Okay, thanks. That's a great idea.
Yeah. But definitely build that relationship, use Ford, and then add to their information. Oh, I can't remember. What were your kids' names? Put their kids' names in there. Go ahead, Tim.
All that, so in command, so you just put all of that like in the notes section, like where
Just add more. There's additional information when you scroll down to the bottom. And
Okay.
then you can add there's additional things like spouses information, and you can add that contact, their birth date. If you go onto Facebook and see their birth date, put that information in there. Build that. So like a client card, the way I think of it is it's kind of like an index card, and you might have, here's the categories of stuff you have. It's just a digital index card of that client's information or customer's information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
A few things you can do is multiple tags. They might be a buyer prospect. They might be looking in Garner. They might be $300,000. You might know that they're going to be ready to buy the third quarter of 2023. As many tags as you can put on that person, you need to do that to jog your memory. I recommend doing that to jog your memory. Also, one thing that I've started doing is, especially for people I don't know, even though you can put their spouse further down on the page, I'll put Gene and Tina Smith or John and Jenny Hendricks.
Okay.
So that way when I call, it might be a house phone or something else. That way I know, or if I'm doing my Ford, it's easy to ask how the wife is doing and know the wife's name right there.
Okay, thank you.
And one last thing, it is very important to put the Facebook profile in, because later when you start doing Facebook ads through command or Facebook, whichever one it is, you can now target people as long as you have their Facebook profile.
Cool. Thank you. Great information. Thanks.
All right, so Grant, thanks for that referral from the agent from the coast area. She actually got me the tip, called the people, got them put under contract for a listing agreement. So I got that signed yesterday, and it turned out, so they were wanting to sell their land. The uncle passed away. The niece was staying on the property, and the niece was collecting lot rent from 2 other properties and never turning it into the estate. So the estate is tired of carrying that cost and has decided to liquidate that land. And they thought it was 8 acres. Come to find out, that was 14 acres, and there's 8 acres 2 lots over that they own as well. And so they want to list that as well. But they weren't aware that they even own 14 acres. So that executor is doing a great job. But my question is, so now that we know that it's run by the executor, is it okay if I just send over to the contract over to the attorney and say, hey, can you check and make sure this executor has authority to sell this land?
He doesn't. He doesn't. It's got to be all the owners.
Well, they have to sign at closing, right? But
They would need
Yeah.
to sign the contract to
okay.
list.
Even if there's one person appointed to the executor of the will?
Yeah, God, what's the attorney? Like, I literally read a Facebook post about this yesterday, and
Was it
what's
Chris
his name was
Mann?
ranting on it.
It wasn't
Um,
Chris Mann, was it? He always
Yeah,
does
Chris
those.
Mann. Find that. It was just yesterday I saw it. It was a really good post. They always make me laugh, so I read it.
Well, I know I taught with Triangle Property Law about 6 months ago about it, and I believe it was something like the executor can sign the offer to purchase, but everybody, all the owners all the heirs would have to sign at closing. So, but does that really mean you're in the contract? It's sketchy, right?
I would highly recommend you pull up that post from Chris Mann and read it,
Okay.
because
Will
it
do.
speaks to that exactly. And I think he just posted it yesterday.
Yeah, whenever you deal with the states and money, people come out of the woodwork. Everybody gets greedy.
Yep. And then,
I'm gonna get rich off Uncle Tom.
and
And
then
one person can stop the whole deal,
absolutely. And then I've got a meeting today for a thing I call, what did I call it? Barbecue, guns, and bourbon. And
Where was my invite?
it's for my clients. If you'd like to buy or sell a house with me, Grant, I'd be glad to help you out with
Well,
that.
I would give you referrals, but I guess that's not good enough.
Let's see how it goes. But basically, we did it last year with this guy that I sold some land to and a house, and basically he's the host of the event, and we invite all my clients, past and future, and man, it's a blast.
Make it something you love. Make it something you love.
Well, that's
So,
just
yeah.
it. Like they were talking about business planning yesterday. Events don't have to be expensive. I mean,
No, I
ham
mean,
was expensive, but if everybody brings their own, I mean, barbecue and bourbon's really not. Bourbon can get expensive, but if everybody's bringing something to the event, it's not costly on your part.
well, and the guy's a great host because he doesn't mind supplying all the ammo for the guns, and we'll shoot probably 20 or 30 different types of guns out there, so it'll be a blast.
I'm still mad. I'm not going to talk to you. I didn't get an invite.
Well, we might find you in there. But then let's see. And then also we're getting ready to start. It's time to start planning the autism awareness benefit concert is what we're going to call it this year. It was Spring Fling last year. So it'll be Spring Fling, but it's a benefit concert for the North Carolina Society of Autism. So we'll start planning that towards the end of this month. And it takes place the last weekend in April.
Yeah. And that's, are we going to do it at Crafty's again?
No, I'm actually looking at Fenton over in Cary. So I'm going to go talk with them, and I'm going to start trying to target areas like that. We want it to grow a little bit bigger, and with people with deeper
Bigger
pockets
venue.
that head into a recession.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to think of when you're talking about events is Jim Holland has rented a booth for Clayton's Harvest Festival, and he's still needing agents to help him. It's basically $50 a piece to split it. He's already prepaid it. There's going to be opportunities to talk to, I think there's like 10,000 people a day or something like that. It's insane. It's massive. It's Saturday from, I think, like 10 to 4 or 10 to 6. But that would be a great opportunity to lead gen. And if you want to work on having a lot of conversations in a short amount of time, that's a great way to practice. Because, all right, I fumbled, I said something wrong. Guess what? There's a brand new person to talk to next in line. And now I nailed it. Now I've gotten good. Now I can walk up to complete strangers anywhere at the grocery store, at a festival, at the state fair, at the gym, and have conversations with them.
Yeah, if y'all are looking for ways to get yourself out there, talk to Jim Holland. Get in touch with him, because that man is doing everything he can to get his name and his face out there. If y'all want to come with us today, you won't be able to actually do any of the door knocking, but if you want to learn about the door knocking, I signed up. I told y'all in that team meeting, if anyone wanted to go door knocking, I go with them, and Jim got me on it. So me and him are going door knocking. I'm just going to kind of be there for moral support. It's going to be a beautiful day to be walking around outside. I think if Brian was here, he'd kill me if he knew I wasn't going to be in the office for two hours. So I got lucky there. But if y'all want to come out, and me and him he'll probably go up to a door, have a conversation with somebody. And if it doesn't work out, we'll come back and we'll be able to mastermind around it right there. He also has, I don't even know what this is about. He's got a ribbon cutting ceremony next month for the Chamber of Commerce in Clayton. He is finding out ways, he's being creative on ways to get his name and his face out there. If you want ideas, talk to Jim. All right. Thank y'all so much. It is 10 a.m. You've got at least an hour or two left of lead gen today. If you were to crush an hour or two to lead gen today, I bet you're going to be feeling great over the weekend. You're going to know the activities that you did are going to lead to its time on task over time, whatever it is. I always mess it up. But you would know, you'd go into the weekend saying, I did everything that I needed to do to grow my business. Let's get after it. If you'll need anything, let us know. If you want to come out and door knock on this beautiful day, give me a call, give me a ring, and we'll get you in there. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.